Watchers in the Fourth Dimension.
So there's been a little damage. That's the way people used to behave in those days. It's a game. You must expect high spirits.
Malice has got a war in him.
Spaceship in half landed here. Is that what you're trying to say?
Hello and welcome back to Watchers in the Fourth Dimension. I'm Anthony.
I'm Diana.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Reilly, and as the local magistrate, I shall find myself quite innocent.
This episode, we're off to a quaint little village in 1980s England where everyone is extremely keen on the English Civil War as we discuss The Awakening. But before we talk about that, Julie's going to take a quick look at the mail.
We have quite a bit of mail to get through. I will try to be as quick as possible. So for Enlightenment from Facebook, we have Adam Wright who says, "First, I adore Enlightenment except creepy stalker man." Agreed. Second, I'm shocked Julie didn't praise the story for being directed and written by women. Well, I wasn't as big of a fan, so that's probably why I didn't point it out. I still liked it, just not as much as everyone else. Third, I'm also shocked that Anthony's behind the scenes didn't point out that Linda Barron was the voice singing Ballad of the Last Chance Saloon in The Gunfighters.
Oh.
I was worried it might predispose Reilly to hating the story.
That's true. I might have had an episode there.
I didn't want to bring on any PTSD.
And he gives this 9 out of 10 shots of liquid mystery. Jessica Grimwood says, "I think my reaction to Turlough's first appearance was not as severe as y'all's because I had already seen him in The Five Doctors. That being said, the finale of the Black Guardian trilogy definitely showed him as a more likable character. The story had a lot going for it, sailing ships in space, pirates with a badass pirate queen, and Tegan getting a rare change of costume, to name a few. 7 coordinating bird hats out of 10. She also went down this little rabbit hole, and several other listeners have also pointed out some Doctor Who folks who are in A Christmas Carol with George C. Scott, so we might come back to that another year." Then our friend David Gorton says, "This definitely falls in the good rather than great category. It does get marked down both for the Guardians' costumes and the fact that the White Guardian's appearance in part 1 doesn't make sense since he's meant to be all-powerful. I think the costume gives it a +1 and the rest of it gives it a -1. I did enjoy the music in this. If nautical synth isn't a genre, then it should be. I could be okay with that." Linda Barron was something of a revelation in this to those of us who mostly knew her from her roles as Nurse Gladys in Open All Hours, in which by all accounts she wore a very padded costume. The role as Rack did give her a chance to go delightfully over the top. In part 4, when we were trying to pick out every last piece of smashed crystal, why didn't they just pick up the rug and throw it overboard? Then they would have ensured no missing slivers remained. It's a good point. We don't think that way. Some good atmosphere in part 1, but not really maintained afterwards. Not to say that the story was poor, just that it felt a bit different after the revelation they were on a spaceship. And let's be honest, you can all tell that Lee John was a singer and not an actor. So in conclusion, I am giving this 7.5 shattered fragments out of 10. And then from Charles Christopher and Tim Houghton, Captain's Rack? That's not what I think it is it?
Yes, it is.
It absolutely is. And then I have Captain's Rack. That's exactly the scintillating humor that I've come to love about this podcast. That's one of my favorites. All right, from Messenger, we have from David Patty. "I'm with the majority on Enlightenment. It really works as a story. It's got a good, disconcerting atmosphere, a clear, interesting story, nicely managed cliffhangers, and some really good dialogue and acting. I always find the pacing of this Doctor Who era a bit odd, lots of short scenes crammed together, but this feels about right, and something Anthony said chimed with me. For a while, I completely forgot about this episode. I vaguely knew all of the Guardian stuff had to resolve, but I couldn't remember how. But then I got to it on a rewatch after the furry snooze fest of Terminus, and I realized it was one of the best Davidson stories, up there with Redacted because the podcast hasn't got there yet."
Oh, okay.
You're right. It's really only the damn Guardians that spoil the ending. Somebody should have distracted them with the promise of better hats or something. Aside from that, the Dead-Eyed Eternals, the world building, Turlough, nasty character, great acting, even the dreamlike shots of the ships floating through space, it all works. This one gets 9. Sorry, Reilly. Normally I agree with you, but this one rocks out of 10.
Okay, fair enough.
And then from Discord, promise we're almost done, Beardo Beatnik says, "Please, for the love of the gods and demons, can we get Reilly and Anthony cosplaying as the Guardians with pics?" I rate this story a 6.5 treacherous little twats out of 10.
Reilly, which one do you want to be?
Oh, probably the Black Guardian.
Okay.
Yeah.
We then have from Fishmonger, let me start off by stating I always knew femdom was the path to enlightenment. But also, was I the only one watching who the entire time was waiting for Captain Wooden Plank or Captain Creepy or Captain Tits to look into Tegan's mind and go, excuse me, madame, perchance, what the fuck is that? And then get swallowed whole by the giant psychic demon snake that got 98% merged with her less than a week ago.
I don't think that Anthony covered that on the behind the scenes. Captain Tits was the original name for that character until they changed it.
You guys are so unhinged and I love it.
It's so good. Aside from my alternate ending, I really liked it. Probably either the best or second best this season will get. 8 out of 10 tickets to Pirates of the Constellation's Dami Mommy's Chest.
That's really good.
And last but not least for enlightenment, Joseph Stubbs says, I love a lot of the idea that the story brings to the table. Are all of them executed well? No. Do I still have a really fun time watching the story? You're damn right I do. The Guardians, aside from their plot being a little confused, are still played very well, and the guest cast is on top form. A fitting end to a fairly solid trilogy and a highlight of the season. 8 out of 10 annexes that Captain Wreck built onto the Master's Kink Dungeon. Now in this episode, we are also going to cover the King's Demons, so you're going to hear me talk some more. From Facebook, we have Alan Seiler, who says, holy cow, y'all, that was a fucking bloodbath. A 3, the 6th worst serial ever. As a genuine fan of the Davidson era, it's really been hard to hear y'all's reactions to his tenure, even though I do understand your criticisms of him and his stories. But this one seems particularly harsh. I do enjoy this one, and Anthony is correct. This is 100% a meddling monk story, but they had to give Anthony Ainley something to do each season, so he got this one by default. I do think it's a beautiful story to look at, both because of the sets and costumes and because of director Tony Virgo, who does some nice work in this, particularly in the location filming. There are some really creatively composed shots in the jousting scenes. I don't think it's top tier Who, but I do enjoy it. I give it 6 buxom Iron Maidens out of 10, or possibly 5 metal band Iron Maidens out of 10. The story itself earns a 5, but I raise it 1 full point simply for the gloriousness of King John's amazing war ballad.
So in talking about buxom Iron Maidens, we're back to just tits again.
I mean, yeah.
This is the podcast we are now.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Bill Stevens says, have a care, our watchers. We Generation Xers look back at this period with real fondness. We were aware of the program's rich history, but had no streaming, repeats, or VHS to explore it, so this is all we had. Yes, trying to prevent Magna Carta is very small beer, but it's probably the Master just killing time before a proper Legopolis-type scheme comes to his mind. The acting and the production values are good, and location filming is well above average. An awful lot is crammed into only 2 episodes, and the introduction of Chameleon was handled well, if ill thought out for the future. The meddling monk point is well made, but Peter Butterworth had been dead for 4 years. However, it would have been a superb move if he'd lived, given J&T's plan to include an element from the Doctors in each story this season.
I mean, he's a Time Lord. We could have a new monk. Delgado's dead. We've had multiple masters since then.
It's true. Crispy Master being one of my favorites. All right. It's impossible for us Xers to look at this without knowing what comes next. And for me, this is the last point before the long, slow, sad descent to survival in 1989, which made me wish I'd been born 20 years earlier. This is a fun, well-plotted historical romp that gets 6.5 Crusader Oaths out of 10.
What I find really interesting about this piece of mail is that because it's framed generationally, I just imagine it being said in a way of, you don't know how good you have it. Back when I was watching Doctor Who, the Doctor would show up in a stupid fucking disguise every other week, and we had to deal with bad fight choreography. You get special effects and stuff. That's what it sounded like. No offense, I totally understand. I appreciate the mail, but I just thought it was very humorous that it was framed in that way, and it made me think of that.
And that's coming from the one Gen Xer on the show.
I'm on the verge. I'm really in between, but I probably am more socially and culturally or pop culturally. I mean, Gen X, probably.
Yes, you are. Okay.
Wow, Julie.
I'm fine with it. I'm just going to go back and listen to my Alice in Chains and Smashing Pumpkins then. I don't have to deal with this.
All right, our friend David Gorton says, must confess, I wasn't expecting such low ratings. I mean, it's not great, but is it really terrible? I'd take it over Black Orchid any day. False.
Yeah, false.
Not saying that the Master's disguise wasn't great, but when Castrovalva was first broadcast, I never twigged that the portrait was actually Ainley. In Time Flight, I think I sussed Khalid early in part 2, but here, as soon as Sir Giles came on screen, I was going, that's Ainley. Even with the ginger wig and hello accent is clearly him. I don't know accents. I just said things. The idea of chameleon, why not chameleon, wasn't a bad one per se, but the technical limitations of the time should have been obvious. Can't argue that a lot of the plot doesn't make sense, but hardly the first time that's happened in the show. The cast do what they can with the material they've been given, and yes, it would have been so much better had the villain turned out to be the monk, giving this 4.5 arrows in the back out of 10. All right, from Instagram, Troy Hunter simply says, this story doesn't make a lick of sense. I agree.
Thanks, Troy.
Yeah. Succinct and to the point.
Yep. I like this one too. Guy Lambert also simply says, listened this morning and was suitably amused. Nice job, team.
Thank you.
I feel like we did great, guys. But Citrine Dragonfly does give us a little bit more, and she says, I only have vague memories of this one since I saw it 30-ish years ago while babysitting on late night PBS, but I remember liking Ainley's scene chewing. Having read more about the behind the scenes of Chameleon, I felt bad for the character, though the robot itself wasn't very good. I think the character gets a short story in one of the Virgin Publishing Decalogue anthologies from the late 90s. I'm also kind of amused that people decided Turlough was gay. I've never read him as having a sexual identity. The term asexual wasn't around when I saw this in the mid-90s, and Turlough never really shows romantic interest, so I assumed he didn't have any. I think of him today as Arrow or Ace. I remember thinking the story overall wasn't bad, so I'll give it 4 out of 10 clueless Turloughs. And I kind of agree with that interpretation or idea around Turlough.
I agree. I think it's best for everyone to not consider him or think about him sexually at all.
Or just to not think of him.
Yeah.
That's me. Okay. 2 more from Discord, and I promise we'll be done. Joseph Staub says, an absolutely hilarious episode, watchers. You all are always on top form when discussing the bottom tier of Doctor Who stories, it seems. Something has to make up for how bad the story is. I find that it's usually the case when a Doctor Who story is written for a specific reason. In this case, the use of a malfunctioning robot that everyone involved in the production should have seen coming from a mile away. The story will usually be crap. And this story is no exception. The aforementioned malfunctioning robot, yet another medieval story, and yet another awful disguise for the Master add up to make one of the biggest stinkers in a while. 2 out of 10 silly English persons whose fathers smell of elderberries. And then Beardo Beatnik does say, just gonna drop my rating. 2 Reilly's losing his shit over the Master again out of 10. 2 of those points are for how entertaining Reilly and Julie were this episode. And that, my friends, is the mail.
Thank you, Julie. And as a reminder, we really do love getting your feedback, thoughts, comments, and questions. And we do try to read out as many as possible on the show. So please do get in touch. As always, you can contact us through Facebook and Instagram at @Watches4D, or you can email us at watches4d@gmail.com. You can also interact with all 4 of us on our Discord server, and we do take mail there too. And an invite link to that is in the show blurb. Additionally, we would absolutely love it if you subscribe to the podcast if you're not doing so already, and if you dropped us a review or rating on your podcast platform of choice. Heading behind the scenes on The Awakening, let's rewind to 1975. Eric Pringle, a devoted Doctor Who viewer, pitched a story called The Angarath. It didn't make the cut. But Pringle's agent, none other than former Doctor Who producer Peter Bryant, who was from the Troughton era, encouraged him to try again. Fast forward to August 1981. Pringle submits 2 new ideas. One, The Darkness, featured the Daleks but didn't really spark much interest from the production team. The other, Wargame, inspired by the English Civil War, caught script editor Eric Saywood's eye as a contender for season 21. In early 1982, Pringle was officially commissioned to develop Wargame, but as he worked, he started becoming concerned. Was there enough action for 4 episodes? He finished the breakdown anyway, and by mid-July delivered it to Saywood. Saywood, now getting concerned about production costs, met with Pringle in September. But despite this, he commissioned the script for Part 1. When Part 1 was delivered in November, both Saywood and producer John Nathan Turner agreed. The story was too long for its concepts. Pringle compressed it from 4 episodes to 2, keeping the core ideas intact. By December, the new scripts were commissioned, and in early 1983, the serial was renamed The Awakening. The title Poltergeist was also briefly considered somewhere in there. Pringle and Saywood worked closely together, but Saywood felt the drafts were still too lengthy. He trimmed them down himself and shifted the tone. Less supernatural, more sci-fi. Saywood even tied the Malice creature to the pteroleptals from the Visitation, hoping that he might be able to have them make a future return. Spoiler, they don't. Pringle, however, disliked the changes, feeling that they muddled the story. The whole experience led to him not returning to the show, and so The Awakening would be his only Doctor Who credit. Saywood also tweaked the Malice's reveal and added a scene with Chameleon, the robot companion. To avoid rehiring Gerald Flood for voice work, Chameleon was to mimic the Doctor and Turlough, unsettling Tegan. Director Michael Owen Morris, previously a production assistant on season 16's The Pirate Planet, took the helm, and this would be his first and only time directing Doctor Who. Joining his behind-the-scenes team, we have Michael Darban, making his first and only contribution to the show as production manager, and he also worked as a production manager on All Creatures Great and Small, as well as an associate producer on EastEnders, in which capacity he worked on 296 episodes. As designer, we have the 14th and final contribution of OG designer Barry Newbury, who had started his career on the show way back on the very first serial, and his most recent contribution was on season 15's The Invisible Enemy. As costume designer, we have the first and only contribution of Jackie Southern, who is also known for work on comedies such as Yes Minister, Heidi High, and Allo Allo. Finally, as composer, we have the return of Peter Howell for the 9th time. As production ramped up, Morris arranged for the cast members to practice horse riding in Dorset. Jack Galloway, playing Sergeant Willow, boasted of his riding skills to the crew, and then his horse unceremoniously dumped him in the waters of the River Tarrant. During location filming, there was a notable mishap. A cart horse, lured by a nearby mare, crashed through a fake lich gate on set. The footage was salvaged and became a blooper reel favourite, even airing on international TV on clip shows such as Television Bloopers and Practical Jokes in the US. Studio recording wrapped in August at BBC Television Centre. The church nave set was central, and yes, that was done in the studio, and it looks incredible, with scenes in the barn, crypt and TARDIS also featuring. During studio scenes, the chameleon prop worked better than it had before, but still malfunctioned significantly. In post-production, part 1 ran nearly 4 minutes over. Even after cutting the chameleon scene, thank God, it was still 18 seconds too long. Morris refused further edits, so Nathan Turner secured special permission for the episode to exceed its time slot when it aired on January the 19th, 1984. And as we were on a twice-a-week schedule, the second part aired the very next day. And with that, we're on to our short summary, which is with me this episode, and I'm glad I kept the behind-the-scenes a little shorter than usual. The Doctor has taken Tegan to see her grandfather in 1984, so naturally the TARDIS malfunctions and dumps everyone into what looks like the English Civil War. But surprise! It's actually a village-wide historical LARP in Little Hodcombe, run by Sir George Hutchinson, a man who has taken local history enthusiasts to an alarming extreme. The Doctor quickly realizes the fake battles are feeding an alien stone head called the Malice, which lives on psychic energy and apparently really enjoys community theatre. Things go downhill when Tegan is captured, stuffed into a period costume, and selected as Queen of the May, a role whose job description ends with burned alive. The Doctor and schoolteacher Jane Hampton try to talk sense into Hutchinson, who instead orders Colonel Ben Wolsey to kill the Doctor. Wolsey sensibly switches sides, rescues Tegan, and helps destroy the Malice. With the village saved and the cosplay crisis over, Tegan still wants to visit her grandfather, proving that in Doctor Who, even a simple family visit requires stopping an alien-powered historical reenactment first. And with that, let's go ahead and talk about it. Part 1.
I want to say immediately, before anyone else can, this serial is a public service announcement about LARPing going wrong.
Very, very wrong.
It's the BBC's attempt to warn the general public.
Have you or someone you know been the victim of a LARP? Call 1-800-333-LARP.
It's called LARPing. It's what the kids are doing, and they call it LARPing. All right, anyway, so yeah, we start off, we have Chameleon, we have everybody in the console room, and it's all nice and pleasant, I guess. And it's weird when you go into one of these short serials, you really can't feel comfortable in any setting because you know it's going to be moving at a pretty rapid pace.
Mm-hmm.
That's why that scene of them together doesn't sit as well as it should, because you know that it's just going to end so quickly.
Yes, although I actually really like the pace of this story. I think it moves along really, really well and keeps it really entertaining. I was so engaged all the way through, which I can't necessarily say about some of the other serials we've watched recently. By part 4 of Warriors of the Deep, I was pretty tuned out.
And I was thinking through this whole thing, how on earth was there ever a plan for 4 episodes? Because I felt like this was still a lot of dead air.
I don't disagree with you, Diana.
Oh, man, I felt it was so slow.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I struggled a little bit with this one.
We're on very different pages here.
I think that it's still more put together and the plot actually makes sense. And I understand what was actually happening for the most part in this one, which is, again, very different from some of the other stuff that we've been watching thus far. But there was something about it that didn't really reach out to me.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to like it really badly. And again, I don't really feel like I can put my finger on exactly what it is. Maybe I'll parse it out as we discuss it. But there was just something about, I don't know if it was the pacing or the writing that just made me not be able to get into this episode.
Interesting. Well, let's talk about part 1. And boy, this has a weird kind of start. I mean, we start with horses galloping, looks like we're in the English Civil War, and then we see a modern middle-aged lady looking for Ben. And after some of the elder ladies we've had in the past in the show, I'm wondering if she's going to turn out to be just as iconic as someone like Miss Hawthorne. Sadly, the answer's no.
Yeah,
absolutely not.
I think she was pleasant, but she doesn't have as much character.
Oh, no, she was very pleasant, very pretty. I liked her a lot, but she's no Miss Hawthorne.
Absolutely no Miss Hawthorne. She was all those things that you mentioned, Anthony, but Miss Hawthorne just took it a step more and was more whimsical and also just was more getting into the weeds and gung-ho about it.
You like her because you see her as a kindred spirit who wanted to bang Benton. I get it.
Yes, but I also think that for this one, the fact that she kind of sat back and let this happen a lot, and not to say that she could have done anything about it, but she seemed much more of just sitting back and watching it all happen more than I would expect her to, given how she talked about it.
Considering that I don't have apparently the affection for Miss Hawthorne, mostly because I have not seen it in the last decade. She was the part of the story I enjoyed the most. She was awesome. The fact that she's not very proactive in the beginning, I think makes sense because she is used to these ninny heads running around with their swords held aloft. They're usually out there playing roundheads and, having a good time. She doesn't realize that they're killing people yet or planning to. And when she does figure that out, she becomes more proactive. And I thought she actually really reminded me of like a cross between what's her name from Jurassic Park and Katharine Hepburn. And I really loved the way that she played that character.
I see that, yeah.
I appreciated her because she was a bit of sanity and a sea of insanity. It was very disruptive as a Doctor Who viewer to go into this setup. And I admit it did, as sorry to use the cliche term that gets thrown around as a joke, but it did subvert my expectations in that you see, we're supposed to go to 1984. Of course, we're not going to go to 1984 because something's going to go wrong. We're going to go to the wrong place. And you think it's the wrong place, but it's actually the right place. And you think it's the wrong place because everyone has lost their goddamn minds. I had the biggest trouble wrapping my head around that. It's just, I understand in this country we have Civil War reenactment, but it's not taken to this extreme. I don't think that Sir George really spoke that way day to day. I think he did it as like part of his LARP. And when I see just full costumes, they never broke. They never broke. And I was just wondering, like, these people have day jobs, right? I mean, how far have they taken this to? Are they only eating food and using medicine from the 17th century? I had such a hard time accepting that everyone, other than our very pleasant school teacher, everyone had lost their minds. It just didn't make any sense because I didn't feel like the possession or the influence of the Mallows was strong enough to do that. It didn't seem that was the indication at the beginning. It seemed like they just really are into it. And that really threw me off. That just made no sense. I mean, I meant to suspend my disbelief a lot for this show, but it's 1984 and a village in England. I don't believe that people would do something that long that is that stupid and costly. I mean, they've got to show the influence.
I think it becomes fairly clear all along that Sir George has been under the influence of the malice all along, or at least wants to harness the malice and is falling more and more under its thrall as the story goes on. Colonel Wolsey, always kind of unsure about all of this. Likewise, Tegan's grandfather, Andrew Varney, he's been locked up because he knows exactly what's going on and won't do it. Now, Sergeant Willow, I can only assume that that man is a psychopath who is just extremely excited about getting to go round, point guns at people, and just be a dick.
And I did adopt the headcanon that Sir George had just emptied his entire coffers to outfit the rest of the town, and that they were excited to just have a couple of days off because the local lord is loony.
Yeah. I mean, the way they talk about the villagers celebrating their heritage, I'm like, oh, wait, is this basically the lost cause then? Yeah. Mm.
So, Anthony, are you telling me that this is not a normal occurrence to have these type of reenactments in small English villages?
We definitely have reenactments, but they're not taken to this extreme. I mean, a friend of mine does them, and she goes for like a weekend and camps out and dresses in period clothing, kind of like you would in a historical LARP. That's exactly what it is. This is to an extreme.
That's what I figured. And so I just thought, like, there had to be other people there in the town. They're just like, this is insane. Maybe they just left. They're like, just left town for a while.
Watching through the windows of the grocery store going, what the fuck is wrong with them?
Well, I mean, there's an easy way of stopping it. It's like, you just say like, all right, this has gone on way too far. Here's how we're going to stop it. We have guns. You have swords. And you have little musket pistol blunderbusses thing. It's just stop. Take off the costumes, sit down, and shut up.
But even like the idea that they had gotten the roads shut down into town, which means he had to apply to a local office to be like, we're shutting down our roads.
Oh, I don't think he did that. I think he was just like, we're shutting down the road. Like,
No. We're going to go with it because that's how committed he is.
How else would no one not come across this town?
Well, he talks about having patrols around the perimeter of the town, so I assume he's just posted some guards being like, sorry, you can't come in at all of the entry points.
Which is still insane.
Oh, it completely is insane.
Yeah, if I'm driving my car through the English countryside and some guy in a lace collar is like, you can't go through here, I'm like, move, I'm driving my car. What do you want me to do? Turn around?
No, I'd probably go, this is too weird, and find a way around the village. I'm not messing with that.
What is this strange mechanical dragon that you have?
You must leave, sir. You are not welcome here.
I'm sorry, this is the only direction Google Maps tells me I can go, so this is the direction I'm going.
What witchcraft is Google?
Did you say Jujul? Jujul?
Oh, God, I couldn't handle it. Ooh.
All right. So I wanted to talk about one of our, I guess, first introductions to Malice, except we don't know it's Malice or whatever. Tegan goes into that. I don't know what building that is, but she runs in.
The barn, I think.
Yeah, a barn. There's a crack in the wall.
Yep. Oh, that's in the crypt of the church. Yeah.
Yeah. The crack in the wall, which also oddly looks like a crack in the wall that happens later in Doctor Who.
Yeah, callback, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, caused by the TARDIS exploding in an alternate universe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Moffat was a huge fan of 80s Doctor Who, so it doesn't surprise me he took some influence here.
But we also got the smoke machine back, which, love me, the smoke machine. But what I found really interesting is that through all this, you got some of that going on. Tegan's running around, all this other stuff. And then she comes across what looks like just an old shirtless man. And she starts screaming. And I'm like, Tegan, calm down. It's just a man. I understand he's shirtless, but he's just a man.
It was a bit terrifying in a way because, one, that's out of place. Also, he was kind of like up, like almost like he was floating. He had like this ghostly bluish hue. I mean, I found it terrifying because I felt like I was looking at my future, but I can understand why Tegan would be. And also, I apologize. Did we ever really get an answer? Is that just supposed to be malice related? Just maliceness is what we just witnessed, right?
Maliceness. That's definitely what we get.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I thought there was going to be a real mystery there.
I just thought her reaction was a little over the top.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. It was definitely a Susan freakout, but without Susan.
I mean, it's why she very unnecessarily decided on this one independent outing. Did she need a handbag?
And really terrible lipstick.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't talked about her outfit, really.
I mean, her outfit's great. I love it.
Very colorful, very 80s.
Yeah, I loved everything but the unnecessary handbag.
And yet we still have Turlo in the same goddamn school uniform. And now we're back in contemporary England. I'm surprised that no one found him, thought he was playing hooky, and shipped him back off to the school.
Yeah, what is this 30-year-old man doing dressed like a schoolboy? Send him back to school.
But that wouldn't fit the narrative since they're in the Civil War time period. So they're not going to acknowledge the fact that he is a child. Except not a child,
true.
Just a student.
All right, so the insanity continues when Sir George decides that he wants to use Tegan as the May Queen and that they're going to burn her.
Okay, yeah. That's not a thing, right?
Oh, I mean, they nearly burned Pertwee at the Maypole and the demons, so...
Yeah, but that's not a traditional May festival thing. Like, even going way, way back, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure it wasn't. I mean, I did a little bit of research, but I can't trust Wikipedia on this.
I feel like burning things usually happens in the fall and winter, but don't quote me on that.
Burning things as in people.
Well, no. I don't think that's anywhere near as common as any form of media would have you think.
I mean, traditionally, the May Queen killed the Green Man, and there was normally a bonfire involved. So, yes, they didn't burn the May Queen, but there was fire and there was death involved in the Festival of Beltane.
Well, and I think there was a thing where they said that that had to happen in order to kickstart something. So I think there was like some legendy type thing where some lady was burned alive, and that's what they had to do in order to kickstart the war.
Well, what was the kid's name from the actual 1600s?
Will Chandler.
Will says at one point, realizes what's happening around him is what he just popped out of the past from, and that they did burn somebody in whatever time period he was from.
Presumably because of the influence of the malice.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, so it's just the malice doing some terrible things both in the present day and the past.
Yes.
That's what he does when he's not guest starring as Olmec on Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yes. They do look like cousins.
I would like to point out that one of my favorite things about this entire serial, I just find it ridiculous, just the conviction of them LARPing this hard. And I know it's the malice, but Wolsey and a couple of the other ones, they're just going along for it, but they still were in it. I love when we have a chase scene in part 1 where the Doctor goes through the tunnels and Sir George has people chase after him. And he has such a demand of authenticity. They search the tunnels for them with candles. I just love that he's going to keep with it no matter what. People could ruin this whole thing for him. Like, no, we have to only use things from the 17th century. We can't use anything else.
Total immersion.
But then proceeds to give Tegan a dress with colors that absolutely are not from the 17th century. Nothing about that dress.
Yeah. I mean, it's the best they had on hand, right?
Not when he outfitted the rest of the people, the peasant folk, in such good outfits. And they gave Tegan that.
He must have run out of money.
Right?
I mean, overall, it is a bit weird.
Yeah. It's a bit weird.
You don't say.
But we haven't really talked about Will yet. We've mentioned him briefly, but he shows up and speaks with your kind of stereotypical yokel accent.
Oh, we haven't talked about a yokel in a while.
Oh, I miss them. You call him Will Chandler. I call him 17th Century Adric.
Oh.
That's pretty accurate, yeah.
I don't know. I think he's a bit more annoying than Adric.
Wow. Okay. He's only been with us for about, 12 minutes of screen time at tops.
At top, yeah.
There's kind of a bit of JNT trolling where he started going around saying that there was a possibility that Will Chandler would become a companion. And Eric Saywood's on record as saying, that was stupid. How the hell would he have reacted to Daleks or Cybermen or what have you?
Well, I mean, we saw how this one ended. I didn't know, Anthony. I was fully expecting maybe some more Will Chandler in the future.
And he walked onto the TARDIS just fine.
Yeah, he didn't seem too frazzled.
Nobody had a weird reaction to the TARDIS this time.
Yeah, that was disappointing, especially, since they're so committed to being in the past.
In this time, everyone just takes the TARDIS in their stride for some reason. I do want to talk about Jane and her reaction to the idea that it's another planet, because her coming into the TARDIS later, having been exposed to these ideas that there's metal from another planet, the Doctor references the pteroleptals, she initially thinks he's crazy, she then hears him out, then he says it's from a spaceship, she's incredulous, and eventually she's like, all right, you're clearly not from here. So her reaction of everyone makes sense. The Colonel, his doesn't, because he's like, yeah, sure, I'm in a spacecraft, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I just really appreciate her perspective of everything. I find it very humorous, and I believe she verbalized it, in which she's really stuck between two groups of crazy people. And at first glance, not realizing the doctor is actually who he says he is. So it's kind of a hilarious joke in a way, to be trying to flee or get away from a group of crazy people only to be rescued by a bunch of other crazy people.
Yeah, I mean, it's a somewhat realistic reaction.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
I think she's also reads really well because the doctor's nice to her and they have a really lovely little relationship. And it made me really want her to be a companion, not just because I like her, but because the doctor seems to like her. And wouldn't that be refreshing?
Yeah. And another great thing about her was how she deals with Sir George. She almost deals with Sir George like she's not frightened or terrified of him. She acts more of like a school teacher, just, I would say, being annoyed by an over-exuberant little boy who wants to play games, which I thought was really great to know that when you get into this serial with her, you're not going to have a screaming peril monkey the entire time. She's going to keep her cool and just deal with everything without you have to worry about that all the time of all the screaming or anything. That's great.
Mm-hmm. Diane, are you tickled by the term peril monkey?
I like that. Yeah.
That's not from me. That's from the show. I don't know who came up with that. It could have been Julie, Don, Anthony.
It was Don. 100% Don. Well, we end our episode with the crack becoming wider, the monster reveal, and the doctor just kind of staring into it, and Jane going, "Doctor!"
Oh, that line delivery. Mwah.
Kind of campy. Absolutely love it.
In all lowercase letters.
Yeah. And that's the end of the episode. And then they've done something weird with the font in the credits, and I don't like it. And I'm probably the only one who is noticing that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, I skipped the credits.
Yeah, I don't know that I looked at the credits. I usually look down and then I wait for it to skip ahead to the next episode.
I thought Julie was going to say, in this serial, when the part one ended, I just look down, take a heavy sigh, take a shot, and then just go on to the next one.
I mean, it's close. It's close to that.
Wow.
Love you, Anthony.
Well, we're on to part 2.
Yeah, and I would like to point out when we have our reveal, since we believe it's this entity, it's the Malice, but we've been fooled before. I've been hurt. I am damaged. I have PTSD. In my notes, I say specifically, if Malice is the fucking master, I'm giving this lazy piece of shit serial a 1.
Well, luckily, the Malice is not the master, so I hope that you give it more than a 1.
Oh, yeah. And I think maybe I had that worry because the giant head, it definitely gives Wizard of Oz vibes. So I was wondering if they're going to do a wizard kind of reveal, like, oh, it's actually not this thing. It's someone behind it controlling it. But they didn't do that, which is great.
What I will say, and by the time the classic show comes to an end, which is only 5 seasons from where we are, I do think the Ainley Master does come into his own in the last story he's in. I think he's finally good. But anyway, that's for the future. All right, I kind of do love some things here. Firstly, Turlough and Andrew Varney, Tegan's grandfather. It's the pairing I never knew I needed or wanted. But for some reason, I find them very endearing together.
Turlough suggests to use Tegan's grandfather as a battering ram. That doesn't endear me to Turlough in any way.
To be fair, it's both of them because they're like, we've got to get out of here.
I was bored senseless by the two of them. When Turlough looked at that man and said, "Are there any guards?" And he said, "I don't know." I was like, what are you doing in there? You figure that all this is happening and that you don't want to participate, but you don't know if there are any guards outside? They're loud as fuck. Like, what are you talking about?
I think I would have liked the grandfather, but he doesn't really get a chance to do much because Turlough was just hard to be paired up with.
He didn't do anything before Turlough got there.
That's the problem, is they introduce the idea of Tegan's grandfather. They don't actually have him on screen until part 2, and there's only 2 parts. And the only thing that he does is he's used as a battering ram, and then they connect with the doctor, but except they don't get to do much of anything.
Right.
And so the whole reason why he's there, if Tegan's grandfather had been given an opportunity to give some of the backstory, because he found out the backstory, and that's why it was a big deal that he was captured, then that would have been one thing, but they didn't do that.
And let's point out once again, we have a Fifth Doctor story where the Doctor and his companions separate.
Yeah.
Tegan's captured, doing her own thing, and Turlough's with her grandfather, and he's with Jane for the entire thing.
It is weird how they keep coming back to that as a plot structure.
Yeah, it's not good. Not good, man. Not a fan.
That said, in part 2, we do get some what I think are really great Doctor moments. When he's talking to Jane, and I think they're delightful together, they're talking about Sir George deliberately recreating events to build up the psychic energy that caused the malice to be awakened in the Civil War. That realization that the last war game has to be for real and people are going to die. And she says, "You must stop him." And he just goes, "Yes, I know." Love that moment. And then when Sir George says to him, "You speak treason," and he responds with, "Fluently." Fuck yeah, he's great in this story.
Yeah, that one felt good. That one hit me in my I love the Doctor hearts.
I know I'm probably not going to get the response from Reilly that I'm expecting, but to me, he's very much the Doctor in this story.
We'll see.
Right. But this all kind of comes to a head. Colonel Wolsey gains a backbone. And yeah, this is where we get the TARDIS moment where Colonel Wolsey is just completely unfazed by it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's even less fazed by the mini malice that's just hanging out in the corner of the ceiling.
My God, I love the mini malice so much. I love that little guy.
I hated it.
Oh my God, I love him. He's like the little guy. God, I'm going to be a nerd. I think his name is Salacious Crumb from Return of the Jedi. He's the little guy, the little laughing guy next to Jabba the Hutt. I love that little guy.
He makes me physically uncomfortable too.
So is that a good thing about a little creature, Diana, that's meant to unnerve you a little bit?
I mean, I guess so. Yeah. It had the intended effect. Correct.
I wasn't sure if that was going to get a nah from you, but...
I mean, I still prefer to not have it around, but considering that we are watching these in order, I guess I have to watch it. Will it keep me away from this again? Maybe.
Wow.
Everybody, check the corners of your ceilings. You never know if there might be a little white malice guy up there. Call your pest control company.
To be fair, I really loved it up on the wall until...
He turned his head?
Until it moved, and then they did the close-up, and it was just all scorpion-esque instead of lizard-esque, and everything registered as, go away, turn around, turn this off, do not look.
Well, while we're at that, we might as well go all the way. What'd you think about his unnecessary goo death?
Oh, with the chunks? No, thank you.
Why is the show doing this? Who on the crew or showrunner, I don't know, why are they obsessed with showing just buckets of Nickelodeon slime coming out of people when they die in the last season or two? I do not understand it.
A huge backstock.
Because they know it makes you uncomfortable, Reilly.
Those bastards.
I also want to talk about Turlough and Varney getting into the crypt when Sir George's goons are trying to get into the TARDIS, and there is 100% a First Doctor reference here because they brain them with rocks.
Yeah.
And it's Turlough doing a thing that's helpful to the team.
Yeah, for once. Turlough continues at the beginning of stories especially to be like, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do. And I'm getting tired of it. And so at least he did something. I'm so proud of him, surprisingly.
Yeah.
It had to happen eventually.
Turlough is definitely not someone you want to be stuck in a foxhole with.
No, absolutely not.
Every now and then he grows a pair.
Yeah.
But then he doesn't learn from it because immediately next story, he's like, oh, there's nothing we can do. Stop.
I don't know. He might have one benefit. You could use him for Operation Human Shield.
Well.
Operation
Perfect.
Human Battering Ram.
Yeah, that's
There it is. I'd rather brain his head against a door. It'd be great.
Oh my God. I am alone in thinking that Turlough was all right this story. And you know what? It's okay to disagree.
I think he was all right. I just think he was boring. I think that he wasn't given much.
He wasn't utilized as he should have been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same with Grandpa. Grandpa should have been like a little badass, and he was not doing much either.
But for once, Turlough not worthy of hate.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I did have one other good Doctor moment before we get to the end here. When Will and the Doctor are actually talking about that realization that Will has that a woman had burned in the past, and that was what was about to happen again. And the Doctor flippantly responds like, oh, well, it's no big deal because it's not going to happen now. And Will is like, you motherfucker, I watched a woman die.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor kind of had that "aw, shit" moment. I thought that was another really nice moment that actually showed that the doctor is like a entity that has emotions, which was another nice touch in the middle of all of this. And it's pretty much the only reason I think that Will should have been included. Otherwise, I'm not sure why he was there either.
Yeah, there are some strange decisions in this story. All right, should we talk about the whole climax of this story?
Is it that?
I mean, Sir George runs in with, "It is time at last. I am here, master." He is completely unhinged and doesn't recognize anyone anymore. And I kind of love it.
I did enjoy them trying to talk him down a little bit. Like, it's the malice. It's not you. Find yourself. It really did have a sense of, like, come on, Sir George, come on. You know what they say about malices? They only want one thing. He's using you, man.
I also find it amazing because there's like a dozen of them against this one man. I understand he has a weapon, but there's so many of you. And you're just backing away as this very large group.
Right.
It's very odd to me.
A highly inconsistent 17th century pistol on both hands. Oh, wait, he fired a shot. Wait, it'll only take him another 5 minutes before he can get it ready to shoot again.
But he's so unhinged at this point, they don't quite know what he will do, even with the limited resources he has.
Yeah.
So I kind of get it, but equally, yes, I understand why it's like, yeah, but what's he really going to do? But, you know, Will saves the day, pushes Sir George into the malice. It'd be better he be dead.
That is a pretty rough ending, too, because, like, I'm sorry, when you have a giant face on a wall that looks that sinister, and then you have your possessed antagonist getting closer and backing in closer, I thought when he got pushed that he was going to get eaten by the malice.
Right? Something.
But I guess I don't think they can open its mouth, so I think he just gets pushed into the wall next to it. That's what happens.
But still, he gets pushed over and dies from what? And how does that destroy the malice? It's a big old rock face.
Well, he's the malice's big psychic fuel, I guess. And it then basically goes into self-destruct mode, is the way the doctor explained it.
Well, that's dumb.
I can feel points slipping away from my score as you point these things out.
That just doesn't make any sense.
Usually I love you guys, but sometimes you're ruining Doctor Who for me.
Look, I'm just saying, if he was able to get enough psychic juice from his 16th century escapade to end up persevering till now, how does this one guy fallen over and die of what? I guess a broken neck, because that's about all that would have killed him in that space, makes a rock face like implode?
Sure, why not?
Anthony, if you want to feel better about Doctor Who, you and I could just rewatch The Sensorites and The Web Planet together. I mean, I can make you feel a lot better about Doctor Who with watching those.
Zarby.
Why are we friends? Why are we friends, Reilly?
Yeah, I'll go watch the Gunfighters. I had a good time then.
Oh, my kryptonite.
Exactly.
Let's talk about our little conversation in the TARDIS console room.
Hold up. First, the church explodes. And I'm wondering if this is a very deliberate callback to the demons, which ends with the church exploding.
It could be a callback, and it's also probably they wanted to blow shit up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that part.
I sense the influence of Ian Levine here.
I could see that.
All right, now let's talk about the little get-together in the TARDIS where the Doctor just wants to leave.
Yes. Once again, he's just a freaking asshole. Like, no, well, this time ago, Tegan's like, I'm supposed to visit my grandfather. I haven't even said 5 words to him. You want to leave? I mean, what an asshole. I mean, jeez. And I love it. He's like, we've got a lot to do. What? Return new Adric to his time? That's what we got to do? That's all that we have to do is just that one little thing. We can do that later.
He's still delighted about the fact that old Adric is gone. He does not want new Adric any longer than he has to have him there. Okay, Reilly?
And the Doctor never sticks around. You know, that's not out of character.
Yeah, he really doesn't.
True, but also I kind of felt like he owed it to his companion. It's just kind of a shitty move on his part. Like, okay, well, we can stay because that's what we promised we were going to do. I don't know. It didn't sit with me well.
This Doctor can do nothing right, Reilly, in your eyes.
He's done a few things right. I mean, when he tore into Adric a couple times, that was pretty good.
Oh my God. I did like the bit at the end about tea.
Yes. That is a good way to end the episode, is a conversation about tea and how much the Doctor likes tea, because he's a British alien.
British. Except I did have tea as I was doing this episode.
There you go. You've had tea more recently than me, Julie. So when you say you people, Racist much? All right, well, that brings us to the end of this story that clearly no one but me particularly enjoyed. Camp count points.
Sir George, I think, gets some. He was really chewing some scenery in there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how many are we giving him?
Just not as much as other people. I'd say maybe 1.5 or 2, maybe.
Let's go with 2. And I also want to give a point to Jane as she yells, Doctor!
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so-
Absolutely.
All right, 3 points overall. Did anyone catch any I'll explain laters?
Mm-mm.
None. No jelly babies and no quarries. All right, well, let's go ahead and score this one. So I went into this with this being a solid 8 in my head. And you bastards
Yay!
have knocked this down. I still really enjoyed it. I did think it was engaging. Maybe it's because I grew up learning about the English Civil War. I wouldn't say I have a huge amount of nostalgia for this one, so it's not that. I mean, I have seen it before, but it's not one I particularly remember going back to again and again and again as a kid, so it's definitely not nostalgia. But I like the characters. I do kind of like how Sir George is relentlessly chewing the scenery. I like Jane. I do like the malice. I think it's a pretty cool concept. And on top of this, it's a 2-parter. Some of the 4-parters we've had recently have been a real struggle, and I thought this got the 2 parts right in a way that the King's Demons didn't, in terms of pacing and giving you just enough to keep you engaged. I also want to kind of call out the malice is kind of Lovecraftian in a way. It's like this buried evil that's making everyone absurdly violent and having this malign influence. I love it as a concept. So while you guys did make me knock it down a little bit, it's still going to get 7 creepy little guys at the corner of the TARDIS out of 10. And Julie, you're next.
All right. I am with Diana on this one. There's something about it that didn't quite click with me, but I can't quite put my finger on it. There are certain aspects that I do like and I did enjoy. I did actually think I liked the Doctor in this one quite a bit. And I did like Jane to a certain extent, although I think that there were a lot of things she could have done a lot sooner to make her a little bit more interesting. Again, it's hard to pull that off in a 2-parter. I continue to dislike Turlo because of the number of times he says, well, there's nothing we can do. Great. Thanks for saying that for the 80th time. But it wasn't an episode that actively made me angry at any point, which is saying something for some of the stories that we've been watching up to this point.
So that's an improvement.
That is an improvement. And it is a 2-parter, so I'll give it 5 because I don't have strong opinions about arbitrarily thrown in grandfathers out of 10.
All right, Reilly.
It is better than the King's Demons, but not by much. 3.5 bowls of parsnips out of 10.
Wow.
I could go into more detail why, but I'm not going to.
But you don't have the energy.
No, I do have the energy. I just don't want to hammer into it too much because, like I said, you enjoyed this one, and I don't need to make you feel like you need to re-examine it or something by me pointing out certain things. So I'll just leave it at that.
There. All right. Last but not least, Diana.
So I thought it was real dumb. There was a lot of it that just didn't appeal to me. I didn't like the Grandpa Turlo side quest. I didn't like the Tegan storyline until the end, actually. The end of it was not bad with the redirection with the Hey lady. That was actually kind of fun. And I think that's where I actually realized going through this, almost the opposite of Anthony, dare I say, where I came in real not happy, but realizing that without the death of the little demon in the corner, I would probably give this one another watch. It was campy. It was dumb, but I don't necessarily always need Doctor Who to not be dumb. Sometimes those are fine stories. And so I think this one was fine. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. And a lot of it comes from the fact that I could finally see the Doctor really clearly in this story. And I did appreciate that a whole heck of a lot. And I think a lot of that heavy lifting goes to that kid Will and the lady whose name I can't ever remember. So I'm actually giving this 6.5 out of 10 chances I also speak fluent treason.
Wow. Well, that gives this a story average of 5.5, which for the Davison era is quite good by our standards. I mean, just to put that in perspective, our overall season average for season 19 was 5.71 and for season 20 was 5.29. Wow. So, we're not too far off our batting average there. All right, Reilly, the question.
All right.
With 4 stories of 5 remaining after this, is he the Doctor yet?
All right, I'm going to do it Maury Povich style. In the case of the 5th Doctor, he is not the Doctor. At least not yet. I mean, honestly, I hope so. I feel like I agreed with what you said. Like, the 2 lines that you referenced that he made were good. My ears perked up when he said that. But I feel like I need that also combined with a good story for me to flip my opinion. But hopefully we'll get there. Like I said, I'm not doing this to try to be contrarian. I want to like all Doctors. I'm just having a tough time with this one.
That's fair. Well, that brings us to the end of the episode. We will be back next time when we head off to the far, far future in Frontios, where the last survivors of humanity must confront an existential insectoid threat. But in the meantime, as always, thank you so very much for listening. And of course, until next time, have a good one. You have been listening to Watchers in the Fourth Dimension with Diana Burney, Reilly Schreck, Julie Philippek, and myself, Anthony Williams. This episode, a public service announcement about LARPing, was recorded on Tuesday the 16th of December 2025. If this is your first time listening into the show, all of our previous episodes are available wherever you like to get your podcasts. You can interact with us on Facebook and Instagram at Watchers4D, by email at watchers4d@gmail.com, and on our Discord server, and a link to that is in the show blurb. If you're enjoying the show, please do subscribe and consider leaving us a review or rating on your favorite podcasting app. All of those things really do help the show. And always remember, LARPing is fun, but is ultimately a game, and really shouldn't be taken this seriously.